Solomon Islands, November 13, 1942, 0200 hours, and Rear Admiral Hiroaki Abe commanding Battleship Division 11 intercepted radio transmissions that would forever shatter his understanding of America's industrial capability, as intelligence officers aboard his flagship Hiei decoded messages revealing that while Japanese submarine crews endured tropical heat without air conditioning, sleeping on deck plates in their own sweat, American submarines not only possessed full air conditioning systems but carried ice cream freezers operated by dedicated machinery that produced frozen desserts for crew morale during 75-day Pacific patrols. The intercepted communication spoke of something the Japanese Naval Command initially dismissed as Allied propaganda: American submarines equipped with what seemed like impossible luxuries for vessels designed for underwater warfare, including air conditioning systems that maintained comfortable temperatures throughout the boat, washing machines for cleaning clothes, individual bunks for nearly every crew member, and most incomprehensibly, ice cream-making equipment that transformed precious electrical power into frozen treats while Japanese submariners rationed fresh water and slept in passageways between torpedo racks. Commander Makitsura Hashimoto of Submarine I-58, monitoring these transmissions from his position in the Philippine Sea, initially refused to believe the intelligence reports filtering through 6th Fleet headquarters, convinced that American radio operators were broadcasting false information designed to demoralize Japanese forces, because the concept of dedicating valuable submarine space and electrical power to crew comfort violated every principle of efficient warship design that the Imperial Japanese Navy had embraced since adopting submarine warfare doctrine from captured German U-boat plans during the previous World War. 3 months earlier, August 15, 1942, Captain Tatsunosuke Ariazumi, commanding the massive I-400 class submarine development program, had received his first captured American technical manuals describing Gato-class submarine specifications, documents that initially seemed so fantastical that Naval General Staff officers accused Allied intelligence operatives of deliberately feeding false information to Japanese agents, because the described American submarines appeared to prioritize crew comfort over combat efficiency in ways that defied rational military engineering. The captured documents described American submarines with dedicated air conditioning systems powerful enough to maintain 68-degree temperatures throughout the vessel, even while operating in tropical Pacific waters where surface temperatures exceeded 90 degrees, a luxury that seemed impossible to Japanese naval architects who designed their submarines with minimal ventilation systems that left crews sweating in 100-degree compartments where condensation dripped constantly from steel bulkheads onto sleeping sailors. Even more incredible were the detailed specifications for American submarine galley equipment, including industrial-sized ice cream freezers installed in crew berthing compartments, washing machines for cleaning clothes during extended patrols, and freshwater distilling units generous enough to allow daily showers for the entire crew, amenities that represented a complete philosophical departure from Japanese submarine design doctrine that prioritized maximum range and firepower over crew comfort. Imperial Naval Academy, Adajima, September 3, 1942, where submarine warfare instructors had spent decades teaching that successful undersea operations required crews to endure maximum hardship in pursuit of tactical advantage. Professor Ishida reviewed the American submarine specifications with growing disbelief, because the described Gato-class boats appeared to waste enormous amounts of internal space on crew accommodations that Japanese designers would have dedicated to additional torpedo storage, fuel capacity, or weapon systems. The American submarines featured individual bunks for nearly every crew member, a concept so foreign to Japanese naval architecture that Professor Ishida initially suspected translation errors in the captured documents, because Japanese submarine crews routinely shared sleeping spaces in rotation, with junior sailors sleeping on deck plates between machinery or stringing hammocks in any available space between pipes and cables. American submarines also carried clothes washing machines, equipment that seemed to represent the ultimate expression of American industrial excess, because Japanese submarine crews wore the same uniforms for entire patrol cycles, washing clothes only when rare opportunities permitted using precious fresh water that was primarily reserved for drinking, cooking, and emergency boiler feed for the boat's steam systems that powered air compressors and electrical generators. Truk Lagoon, October 7, 1942. The massive Japanese naval base where Admiral Chuchi Nagumo, commanding the combined fleet's carrier forces, first encountered physical evidence of American submarine luxury, when salvage teams investigating the sunken American submarine USS Grunion discovered ice cream making equipment intact in the vessel's crew quarters, machinery so sophisticated that Japanese engineers initially mistook it for some form of electronic warfare device because the concept of dedicated ice cream production aboard a combat submarine exceeded their understanding of rational resource allocation. The recovered American ice cream maker, manufactured by a company called Electrofreeze, featured a stainless steel cylinder with mechanical paddles powered by the submarine's electrical system, capable of producing several gallons of frozen dessert per hour, using ingredients stored in refrigerated compartments that maintain temperatures below freezing even during tropical operations, a level of mechanical sophistication that Japanese naval engineers found simultaneously impressive and incomprehensible. Japanese submarine crews, meanwhile, considered themselves fortunate to receive occasional distributions of canned fruit or preserved fish to supplement their diet of rice, pickled vegetables, and dried seaweed, with fresh food typically exhausted within the first week of any extended patrol, leaving crews to subsist on increasingly monotonous preserved rations that often spoiled in the tropical heat due to inadequate refrigeration systems aboard Japanese submarines. Combined Fleet Headquarters, Yokosuka Naval Base, October 20, 1942, where Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto received comprehensive intelligence reports detailing American submarine operations that revealed a level of industrial support infrastructure that fundamentally challenged Japanese assumptions about enemy capabilities, as reconnaissance aircraft photographed what appeared to be a dedicated ice cream production vessel operating in the Southwest Pacific to supply American naval forces with frozen desserts. The intelligence report described a converted concrete barge designated BRL, barge, refrigerated, large, that cost the United States Navy $1 million to construct and operate, a floating ice cream factory capable of producing thousands of gallons of frozen dessert daily to distribute among American warships too small to carry their own ice cream-making equipment, representing an investment in crew morale that exceeded the entire annual budget for Japanese submarine crew provisions. Admiral Yamamoto, reading these reports in his private quarters aboard the battleship Yamato, experienced a moment of profound realization about the true scope of American industrial capacity, understanding that a nation capable of dedicating million-dollar vessels to ice cream production possessed manufacturing resources so vast that Japan's careful conservation of materials and austere military philosophy represented not practical efficiency but desperate poverty in comparison to American abundance. Submarine I-19, November 15, 1942. Patrolling the waters off Guadalcanal where Commander Takakazu Kanashi had just received radio intelligence describing American submarine rescue operations that included routine distribution of ice cream to downed aircraft pilots, a practice that seemed to mock Japanese aviators who faced certain death in the Pacific's vast waters because Japanese submarines lacked the refrigerated storage necessary to preserve food for rescued personnel during extended rescue missions. The intelligence described American submarines routinely carrying ice cream in specially designed freezers as standard equipment for aircrew rescue operations, with submarine commanders authorized to surface and transfer frozen desserts to aircraft carriers in exchange for intelligence updates, mail delivery, or fresh provisions, creating an informal economy of morale-boosting treats that Japanese forces could not comprehend or duplicate due to their submarines' lack of reliable refrigeration systems. Commander Kanashi, struggling to maintain crew morale aboard I-19 as his men endured their second month of patrol with increasingly spoiled food and stagnant water, found the reports of American ice cream distribution particularly demoralizing because his own crew had not tasted fresh food since departing their base at Truk, subsisting instead on rice that had begun to ferment in the tropical heat and preserved fish that left the submarine's interior reeking of decay. Imperial Japanese Navy Technical Department, November 28, 1942, where submarine design specialists attempted to analyze captured American air conditioning specifications to understand how Gado-class boats maintained comfortable temperatures throughout their hulls, discovering that American submarines dedicated approximately 15% of their electrical generating capacity to climate control systems that Japanese designers would have considered an impossible luxury given their boats' limited power budgets. The American air conditioning systems used complex refrigeration machinery manufactured by companies like Carrier Corporation, featuring multiple evaporator units distributed throughout the submarine's compartments to ensure uniform temperature control, with redundant compressors and electrical systems that guaranteed continuous operation even during combat conditions when the submarine's primary diesel engines were shut down for silent running. Japanese submarines, by contrast, relied entirely on natural ventilation when surfaced and battery-powered fans when submerged, systems that provided minimal air circulation and no temperature control, leaving crews to endure whatever conditions nature provided, with interior temperatures routinely exceeding 100 degrees Fahrenheit during tropical operations and humidity levels that made breathing difficult and sleep nearly impossible. December 7, 1942, first anniversary of Pearl Harbor, Admiral Chuchi Nagumo received detailed intelligence reports comparing Japanese and American submarine crew casualties from non-combat causes, statistics that revealed American submarines experienced significantly lower rates of heat exhaustion, dehydration, and tropical diseases despite operating in the same Pacific waters as Japanese forces, suggesting that American investment in crew comfort systems provided tangible military advantages. Beyond simple morale improvement, the medical reports indicated that American submarine crews maintained higher levels of physical fitness and mental alertness throughout extended patrols due to their access to air conditioning, regular showers, clean clothing, and varied diet including frozen desserts, while Japanese submarine crews showed declining performance after 30 days at sea due to heat stress, poor hygiene, monotonous diet, and inadequate rest in their uncomfortable sleeping arrangements. American submarine commanders reported crew efficiency ratings of 85% even during the final weeks of 75-day patrols, while Japanese submarine commanders noted significant performance degradation after 45 days at sea, with crews becoming increasingly susceptible to mistakes, equipment failures, and poor decision-making that compromised mission effectiveness and submarine survival in combat situations. I-400 class submarine construction yards, Kure Naval Arsenal, January 15, 1943, where Captain Kamito Kurishima, supervising construction of Japan's largest submarines, discovered that even these massive boats, displacing over 5,000 tons submerged, could not accommodate the air conditioning systems and crew comfort amenities that American submarines carried as standard equipment, because Japanese naval architecture prioritized aircraft hangar space and fuel capacity over crew, accommodations that would have improved operational effectiveness. The I-400 class submarines, designed to carry 3 bomber aircraft for attacks against American cities, featured crew quarters so cramped that many sailors were forced to sleep in passageways and maintenance spaces, with no air conditioning to combat the tropical heat and inadequate ventilation that left the massive submarine stifling during submerged operations, conditions that would have been considered intolerable aboard American submarines of half the size. Japanese naval architects, constrained by limited steel allocation and industrial capacity, could not justify dedicating submarine space to crew comfort when the same volume could house additional aviation fuel, torpedo storage, or aircraft maintenance equipment, a design philosophy that reflected Japan's desperate resource situation rather than optimal submarine engineering practices developed by nations with abundant industrial capacity. Pacific Theater Intelligence Summary, February 22, 1943, distributed to Japanese submarine commanders detailing American submarine operations that revealed the existence of specialized supply submarines carrying nothing but ice cream and frozen desserts to distribute among American Pacific Fleet units, vessels that seemed to represent the ultimate expression of American industrial excess in their dedication of entire ships to crew morale enhancement rather than combat capability. The intelligence described converted LST landing ships operating as floating ice cream parlors, equipped with industrial-scale freezing equipment capable of producing thousands of gallons of ice cream daily in dozens of flavors, with refrigerated compartments maintaining perfect storage conditions for ingredients and finished products that were distributed to American warships through an elaborate logistics network that Japanese forces found both impressive and incomprehensible. Japanese submarine crews, reading these intelligence summaries in their sweltering, malodorous boats while consuming their monotonous rations of rice and preserved fish, began to understand that they were fighting an enemy with such vast industrial resources that America could afford to dedicate entire vessels to producing frozen desserts while Japan struggled to provide basic nutrition and adequate ventilation for their submarine crews operating in the same Pacific waters. Submarine I-58, March 10, 1943, where Commander Makitsura Hashimoto intercepted American radio transmissions describing submarine crew rotation policies that allowed complete air conditioning system maintenance during brief port visits, ensuring that American submarines returned to patrol with fully functional climate control that would maintain crew comfort throughout their next 75-day mission cycle. a level of logistical support that Japanese submarine commanders could barely comprehend. The intercepted transmissions revealed that American submarine bases maintained specialized air conditioning technicians who performed routine maintenance on submarine climate control systems, replacing filters, checking refrigerant levels, and testing compressor performance to guarantee that every departing submarine carried properly functioning equipment capable of maintaining 68-degree temperatures and controlled humidity throughout extended Pacific patrols regardless of external conditions. Japanese submarine bases, by contrast, focused their limited technical resources on engine maintenance, weapon system repairs, and structural damage assessment, with no personnel or facilities dedicated to crew comfort systems because Japanese submarines carried no such equipment, leaving crews to endure whatever environmental conditions nature provided during their increasingly extended patrol cycles as the war situation deteriorated. Imperial Naval Staff College, April 3, 1943, where strategic analysts attempted to calculate the industrial resources America devoted to submarine crew comfort, discovering that the United States invested more money in ice cream production and air conditioning systems for their submarine fleet than Japan spent on entire submarine construction programs, a comparison that revealed the catastrophic disparity in industrial capacity between the two nations. The economic analysis indicated that American annual spending on submarine air conditioning maintenance, ice cream ingredients, and related crew comfort systems exceeded $10 million. Approximately the cost of constructing 3 Japanese I-class submarines, suggesting that America possessed such abundant manufacturing capacity that they could treat expensive comfort amenities as routine operational expenses rather than impossible luxuries. Japanese military economists, struggling to understand how America could sustain such enormous expenditures on non-essential submarine equipment while simultaneously producing thousands of combat aircraft, hundreds of warships, and millions of tons of weapons and ammunition, began to recognize that their initial estimates of American industrial capacity had been catastrophically inadequate for strategic planning purposes. May 8, 1943, exactly 1 year after the Battle of Coral Sea, intelligence officers aboard Admiral Nagumo's flagship received detailed reports about the USS Lexington's sinking that included accounts of American sailors consuming ice cream from their helmets while abandoning the burning aircraft carrier, an image that crystallized Japanese understanding of the fundamental difference between American abundance and Japanese austerity in wartime resource allocation. The Lexington incident reports described American sailors breaking into the carrier's ice cream storage compartments during the abandonment process, consuming frozen desserts while their ship burned and sank beneath them, behavior that seemed to Japanese observers to represent either remarkable courage or complete indifference to material loss possible only among people who had never experienced genuine scarcity or resource limitations. Japanese naval officers, reading these accounts while their own ships operated with strictly rationed fresh water, limited food supplies, and crews who had not tasted ice cream since before the war began, realized they were fighting an enemy so wealthy that individual sailors could treat expensive frozen desserts as disposable comfort items during life-threatening emergency situations, behavior that would have been unthinkable aboard resource-constrained Japanese warships. Submarine I-174, June 15, 1943, operating in the Central Pacific where Lieutenant Commander Sonoda intercepted American submarine communications describing routine ice cream trading between submarines and surface vessels, exchanges that created an informal economy based on frozen desserts that demonstrated American naval logistics capabilities beyond Japanese comprehension, as submarines routinely surfaced to transfer ice cream for mail, medical supplies, and intelligence updates. The intercepted communications revealed American submarines carrying specialized ice cream containers designed for transfer operations, insulated packages that could preserve frozen desserts during submarine-to-surface exchanges, with submarine commanders authorized to trade ice cream for fresh provisions, ammunition, or personnel transfers, creating a logistics network that treated frozen desserts as legitimate currency for inter-ship transactions. Japanese submarines, operating under strict radio silence and avoiding surface contact whenever possible due to their vulnerability to American air and surface patrols, could not comprehend naval operations so secure and well-supported that submarines routinely surfaced for non-essential exchanges of luxury food items, behavior that would have been suicidal for Japanese forces operating in the same contested waters. July 4, 1943, American Independence Day, Japanese radio intercept stations monitored American submarine communications describing special ice cream celebrations aboard submarines operating throughout the Pacific Theater, with crews receiving extra rations of frozen desserts manufactured in dozens of flavors to commemorate their national holiday, demonstrating American commitment to maintaining peacetime traditions even during extended combat operations thousands of miles from home ports. The monitored transmissions described elaborate ice cream social events aboard American submarines, with crews voting on flavor preferences, sharing family ice cream recipes transmitted from home, and even conducting ice cream making competitions between different submarine crews, activities that seemed to represent impossible frivolity to Japanese submarine crews who were struggling to maintain basic nutrition and hygiene during their increasingly desperate patrol missions. Japanese intelligence analysts, attempting to understand the strategic implications of American submarine crew celebrations that included abundant ice cream consumption, realized they were observing evidence of an enemy nation so confident in their ultimate victory and so wealthy in resources that they could maintain peacetime recreational activities even aboard combat submarines operating in active war zones. August 20, 1943, Combined Fleet Headquarters, Admiral Yamamoto's staff received comprehensive intelligence reports detailing American submarine construction programs that included mandatory installation of air conditioning and ice cream making equipment as standard specifications for all new submarines, requirements that increased construction costs but were considered essential for maintaining crew effectiveness during Pacific operations against Japanese forces. The intelligence revealed that American shipyards had standardized air conditioning installation procedures for submarine construction, with specialized contractors installing climate control systems in every new Gato class and Balao-class submarine before delivery to the fleet, ensuring that American submarine crews would never operate without comfortable environmental conditions, regardless of external temperatures or humidity levels in tropical Pacific waters. American submarine construction contracts also specified ice cream making equipment as standard installation items, with manufacturers like Electrofreeze providing specialized marine-grade freezers designed specifically for submarine operations, equipment that represented a significant cost addition to each submarine but was considered essential for maintaining crew morale during extended patrol cycles that could last up to 75 days without port visits. September 15, 1943, Submarine I-19 Final Patrol. Commander Takakazu Kanashi received his last intelligence update describing American submarine rescue operations that included routine distribution of ice cream to Japanese prisoners of war, a practice that seemed designed to demonstrate American abundance and generosity while highlighting the desperate conditions aboard Japanese submarines where crews had not tasted fresh food in months. The intelligence described American submarines carrying extra ice cream rations specifically for distribution to rescued enemy personnel, with submarine medical officers using frozen desserts as part of prisoner treatment protocols to combat dehydration and malnutrition common among Japanese submarine crews who had been captured after their boats were sunk by American anti-submarine warfare forces. Commander Kanashi, preparing for what he suspected would be his submarine's final mission as American anti-submarine capabilities continued to improve and Japanese submarine losses mounted steadily, found himself wondering whether his crew would ever taste ice cream again, realizing that the frozen desserts had become a symbol of the vast industrial and technological gap that made Japanese victory increasingly impossible to imagine. October 10, 1943, Imperial Naval Headquarters, strategic planning officers received economic intelligence indicating that American ice cream production for military forces exceeded Japanese total food processing capacity for their entire submarine fleet, a comparison that starkly illustrated the industrial disparity that made continued submarine warfare increasingly futile despite Japanese technological advantages in torpedo design and submarine engineering expertise. The economic reports revealed that American military ice cream production facilities operated by companies like Borden and Hood processed more dairy products monthly for armed forces consumption than Japan's entire domestic food industry could provide for military and civilian populations combined, suggesting that America possessed agricultural and industrial resources so vast that luxury food production represented no significant burden on their war economy. Japanese naval strategists, confronting these economic comparisons while their own submarine crews subsisted on increasingly meager rations due to supply line disruptions and resource shortages, began to understand that their nation was fighting an enemy whose civilian economy alone exceeded Japan's total military production capacity, making ultimate victory mathematically impossible regardless of tactical successes or strategic brilliance. November 25, 1943, I-19's final transmission, intercepted by American codebreakers and later shared with Japanese intelligence through neutral diplomatic channels, included Commander Kanashi's observations about American submarine operations that demonstrated technological and logistical superiority, so complete that Japanese submarine warfare had become essentially hopeless despite continued orders to maintain aggressive patrol schedules against increasingly impossible odds. The transmission described American submarines operating with such sophisticated support systems that they could maintain crew comfort and morale throughout extended combat operations while Japanese submarines struggled with basic life support, equipment failures, and crew exhaustion that compromised their combat effectiveness and made survival increasingly dependent on luck rather than skill or training. Commander Kanashi's final report noted that American submarines appeared capable of indefinite Pacific operations due to their air conditioning systems, reliable refrigeration, adequate freshwater supplies, and comprehensive logistics support that included routine delivery of ice cream and other luxury items, while Japanese submarines faced increasing operational limitations due to deteriorating conditions aboard boats that lacked basic crew comfort amenities. December 7, 1943, second anniversary of Pearl Harbor. Admiral Chuchi Nagumo received comprehensive intelligence assessments indicating that American submarine crew retention rates exceeded 90%, due to their excellent living conditions and high morale maintained through amenities like air conditioning and ice cream, while Japanese submarine crew effectiveness declined steadily due to poor living conditions, inadequate food, and environmental stress that could not be alleviated with available technology. The personnel reports revealed that American submarine crews volunteered for extended patrol duty and requested assignment to submarine service due to the superior living conditions aboard their boats, while Japanese submarine service had become increasingly unpopular among naval personnel who understood that assignment to submarine duty meant months of discomfort, poor food, and dangerous conditions with minimal support from increasingly strained logistical systems. American submarine commanders reported maintaining high crew performance throughout their 75-day patrol cycles, with ice cream social events, air-conditioned rest periods, and regular showers contributing to sustained morale and operational effectiveness, while Japanese submarine commanders noted declining crew performance after 30 days at sea due to heat exhaustion, poor hygiene, and monotonous diet that could not be improved with available resources. January 10, 1944, Submarine Force Headquarters, Kure, Vice Admiral Teruhisa Komatsu received final intelligence reports describing American submarine operations that included routine ice cream delivery to other Allied submarines, aircraft rescue missions that provided ice cream to downed aircrew, and submarine crew shore leave that featured unlimited access to ice cream at American naval bases, creating a comprehensive system of morale support that Japanese forces could neither match nor counter. The intelligence described American submarine bases equipped with extensive ice cream production facilities, soda fountains, and recreational facilities that maintained peacetime standards of crew comfort even during active wartime operations, ensuring that American submarine crews returned to patrol duty refreshed and eager to continue their mission rather than demoralized by poor conditions and inadequate support. Vice Admiral Komatsu, reading these reports while Japanese submarine bases struggled to provide basic food rations and essential maintenance services for their remaining operational boats, realized that Japan was fighting an enemy with such vast resources that they could maintain luxury amenities for their military personnel while simultaneously producing weapons and equipment in quantities that overwhelmed Japanese industrial capacity. February 15, 1944, the realization, when captured American submarine equipment and technical manuals provided complete documentation of air conditioning and ice cream making systems that revealed the true scope of American technological and industrial superiority. Lieutenant Commander Hashimoto understood that Japan had been fighting a war against an enemy whose baseline military capabilities exceeded their own maximum theoretical potential. The captured documentation showed that American submarines carried air conditioning systems more sophisticated than those installed in Japanese naval headquarters buildings, ice cream making equipment more advanced than commercial facilities in major Japanese cities, and crew comfort amenities that exceeded the living standards of most Japanese naval officers, demonstrating American industrial capacity so vast that they could equip individual submarines with luxury systems that Japan could not provide for their most important shore installations. The technical specifications revealed that American submarines dedicated more electrical generating capacity to crew comfort systems than Japanese submarines possessed for all operational requirements combined, with air conditioning, refrigeration, ice cream production, and washing machines consuming power equivalent to Japanese submarine main propulsion systems, highlighting the enormous disparity in available resources and technological capability. March 20, 1944, final assessment. As Japanese submarine operations became increasingly desperate and ineffective against American forces equipped with radar, sonar, and aircraft that could locate and destroy Japanese boats with unprecedented efficiency, intelligence officers compiled comprehensive reports documenting the role of American submarine crew comfort in maintaining operational superiority through sustained morale and crew effectiveness. The final assessment concluded that American investment in submarine air conditioning, ice cream production, and crew comfort amenities had provided significant military advantages by maintaining crew performance throughout extended operations, reducing non-combat casualties, and sustaining volunteer rates that ensured experienced crews for their expanding submarine fleet, while Japanese submarine effectiveness declined due to poor living conditions that could not be improved with available technology and resources. The assessment noted that American submarines could sustain 75-day patrol cycles with minimal crew fatigue due to their comfortable environmental conditions, while Japanese submarines experienced declining effectiveness after 45 days due to heat stress, poor nutrition, and inadequate rest, limitations that made extended Pacific operations increasingly impossible as American anti-submarine capabilities continued to improve and Japanese submarine losses mounted. April 30, 1944, surrender of strategic initiative. As the last effective Japanese submarine operations ended due to overwhelming American superiority in both technology and logistics, Admiral Komatsu's final report to Naval General Staff acknowledged that America's ability to provide ice cream and air conditioning for their submarine crews represented just a small sample of industrial capacity so vast that continued resistance was futile. The final report noted that American submarine crews maintained high morale and operational effectiveness throughout the war due to their excellent living conditions, while Japanese submarine crews suffered declining performance that contributed to their submarines' vulnerability to American anti-submarine warfare, creating a spiral of declining effectiveness that could not be reversed with available Japanese resources and technology. Admiral Komatsu concluded that American submarine ice cream and air conditioning represented more than simple crew comfort. They demonstrated industrial and technological superiority so complete that Japan's military forces could not hope to match American baseline capabilities, much less exceed them, making ultimate defeat inevitable regardless of tactical skill, strategic planning, or individual courage among Japanese submarine crews. The final truth emerged in post-war interrogations when Japanese submarine commanders learned that American submarines had routinely operated with crew comfort systems more sophisticated than those available to Japanese naval headquarters staff, ice cream production capabilities that exceeded Japanese civilian facilities, and air conditioning systems that maintained perfect environmental conditions throughout extended Pacific operations while Japanese crews endured tropical heat and humidity that degraded their combat effectiveness and contributed to their ultimate defeat in the submarine war that Japan could never have won against an enemy with such overwhelming industrial and technological advantages.